Hey, what's going on, Ramley? Welcome to the Rams Skinny here on the LAFB network. We are Los Angeles Sports. This is your daily dose of Los Angeles Rams news. Your 3-1 Los Angeles Rams after a 27-20 victory over the Indianapolis Colts. Great win, big win, great game. So Skinny T and I will be talking all about it. Winners and not so winners, not as many losers in this one. So just winners and not so winners, plus talk power rankings quickly. And then we got a short week, baby. It's Niners week already. Thursday night, we'll be back all week covering that game. We'll be live still Thursday pregame. We'll talk about that later. Right now, we're talking quickly, wrapping up this Colts game in a bow. But first and foremost, Skinny T, looking great as always. How are you doing? Dodgers baseball's on tonight. How we feeling?
I'm great, man. I've had baseball on all day long so far. I put it on at 10, watching all these games, watching the Detroit Cleveland series and everything else. And Yankees coming up now. I'm rooting against the Padres.
Padres lost, baby. That's great.
Now that I'm apparently a Dodgers fan. My Twins didn't make it to the playoffs. I don't know if you're paying attention. Lost 92 games, so not quite 100, but they did fire their manager, Rocco Baldelli. So new start for my Twinkies, but go Dodgers, I guess, from here until November.
It's great. Your Twins didn't make it. My Rockies never make it. So we're Dodgers fans in October. Cover the team here. If you're a Rams fan and you love the Dodgers, you got to just stay right here. We cover the Dodgers right here on the LAFB network. So head to LAFBnetwork.com for all of your Dodgers coverage. We'll be launching a show soon as well. LA Dodgers show. Can't wait. We'll have that probably not launched until the next season. We'll really build it out in the off season, but pretty fired up about that. Since we're doing semantics, let's pay the bills. Download the Sleeper app. It's the #1 app in the App Store and Google Play. When you go to download and you go to make your first deposit, make sure you use our promo code RAMSLAFB, all one word, RAMSLAFB. You're going to get a match. Whoa, almost just threw my phone through the wall there. You're going to get a match deposit bonus up to $100. If you don't want to put in $100, I get it. You want to put in 5, 10, they're going to match you that $10. But if you want to put $100 in, they're going to match you $100 free to play with. And you might ask me, Ryan, why am I depositing money for a season-long fantasy app? I mean, Sleeper is great for season-long fantasy. I'm in like 3 leagues all housed on Sleeper, but Sleeper has the daily pick'em or DFS, whatever you want to call it. And so you can pick 2 to 8 players across any league if you want to do the Dodgers and MLB playoffs right now, or you can wait to do your Rams. You're picking more or less on all the best lines, whether it's passing yards, whether it's home runs, whether it's strikeouts for Blake Snell tonight, and you can win real money. So have you won yet, Skinny?
I have not. We came so close on our Brittany Betts version of our Sleeper fantasy picks.
We did it. Yeah, we did it live on Thursday, and we did I think as 8-player pick'em. I did the whatever it's called. I always forget what it's called, but where you can hedge. You can basically, if you pick 8, if you can miss 2 and still win something. So we technically won our money back. I think we bet 5 and we won like $8.03. So we did win our money back plus some $3 on top of it. Because we hit 6 of the 8. So, but anyway, Sleeper, make sure to check it out. Promo code RAMSLAFB. Tell them the fellas at RAMSLAFB sent you. All right, so big takeaways quick. I know you did the live with Erin again. Amazing. From Australia. She still joined you. Amazing live on Sunday. But were you just quick, big takeaways from this victory for the Rams?
Yeah, we predicted it to be a pretty tight game. I think your score prediction might have been on the nose. I think you might have had it.
I think so, actually. Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a bit more of an offensive shootout. I thought that the Rams offense had an opportunity against the Colts defense without Kenny Moore. Not a great run defense. I thought they could run up the score a bit more. That was my one kind of takeaway. They were able to get a lot of pressure. The Colts were, but I mean, the big takeaway was the Rams defense just really swarming everything, really holding everything into check for the most part, doing a really good job. They got a season high amount of pressure on Daniel Jones, beating out the Denver Broncos. So we might be looking at one of the best pass rushes in football in this Rams team. And from the defensive perspective, Daniel Jones was actually better under pressure than he was. He threw both of his interceptions without any pressure on him. Mm-hmm. Those 2 interceptions were the first turnovers of the Colts year this year, and 2 sacks on Danny Jones. That doubles his total of sacks on the year. So, I think the Rams did enough to keep him in check.
Yeah, it felt like I think it was just a good football game. Like, I think the Colts are a good football team. I don't think they're a fluke. And the Rams still made some mistakes. Wasn't perfect. There was still the Puka Nacua is the guy, which he's going to be one of our winners, obviously. But that he is he is who Matthew Stafford is going to go after when you consider 40 total passing targets, 40 attempts, if you will, from Stafford, and 15 of those targets all going to Puka Nacua, 13 receptions, 170 yards and a touchdown. Wow. So obviously well warranted. Dude is a stud, but yeah, some mistakes, but I think this was just a good football team. You come out on top. It's a fun team to watch. They get the big win at the end. So let's just jump into it. We don't got to recap more. Obviously, you guys did that. Winners, losers, then we'll talk power rankings. Give me your first winner here for a winning Rams team.
The first one isn't even a Ram. I'm picking Adonai Mitchell, AD Mitchell, fumbling out the back of the end zone, turnover. That was a game-changing mistake on his part. And then later in the game, Jonathan Taylor picks up a big chunk, goes into the end zone, called back because of a penalty on AD Mitchell holding offensive pass interference, offensive holding, I believe. Mm-hmm. And that one comes back. So had those 2 plays gone differently, this could have been a different outcome. So I got to give a hat tip to the unfortunate AD Mitchell. Better luck next time, I guess. But we were the main beneficiaries of those. So shout out to him.
100%. I mean, sometimes you just need a little bit of luck, right? Like that's how football goes. I was talking with someone, and this is more about collegiately, but he was saying it was a former player, and he was saying, like, when you look at these teams that go to the national championship, or in this instance, go to the Super Bowl, like obviously there's certain pedigrees, there's certain culture, certain box you have to check, right? Like have to have a good quarterback, a Pro Bowl or an All-American type player at every level helps. But some of it, you just got to have things go your way. Like in those 1-score games, how does the ball bounce? How are your injuries down the stretch? Do you stay healthy? Like there's certain things that just have to work out in order for you to go the distance. And so, things could have gone differently. The Rams could have lost this game, but hey, the ball bounced their way in this one. So you take that and praise, and geez, all these Dodger updates. Let me turn off my freaking notifications that just keep going nuts here. And sometimes you take it and say thank you to the football gods, and you move on the next week sitting at 3-1. So my winner, Skinny. Go ahead.
That's exactly how Sean McVay put it too. He was asked about that instance, and he said, "Don't ask me about that. We're just going to enjoy this win. Thanks to the football gods for a rough play."
Yeah, I think coaches know that. Like sometimes you need, like you got to play a certain way, certain style, have fundamental football, but sometimes you just got to have a little luck on your side. And the Rams have been obviously behooving to some bad luck sometimes, and they've been behooving to some good luck sometimes.
And you'll hear legitimate coaches in the NFL say it comes down to 5-7 plays, something like that in a game to decide the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Mike Tomlin's famous for that one, Yep. So anyway, who's your 100%. First winner?
100%. And the narrative changes depending on if you win or lose. Like if you win, everyone forgets about that. The mistakes, If you lose, all the mistakes get just expounded. Everyone's like, this horrible, like what's wrong? Fire. Much more in college maybe than the pros. But my first winner, I mean, we lambasted the guy last episode. Oh, I mean, really almost every episode. So we got to give Tutu Atwell the Tutu train as a winner. Only 1 target, right?
Yep.
1 target, 1 catch. Oh, no, excuse me. He had 2 targets, but 1 catch, 88 yards, touchdown, exactly how everyone thinks the Tutu train should be utilized within this offense, at least on that one specific play. I don't know how he was that wide open, ran a pretty simple route, pretty simple flag route.
His man fell down.
That helps for sure. Yeah. But Stafford hit him on a rope. 88 yards later, touchdown. Rams take the 27-20 lead, which they do not relinquish and win. So we've been hard on the guy. We've been hard on Sean McVay. We've been hard on Stafford, kind of the whole ecosystem of why a $10 million receiver is not being utilized. Well, hey, in this week, he is the reason, legitimately, in that one play, the reason the Rams are 3-1. So winner, big winner. One. What's his full real name again? Like Chatarius?
Yeah, something like that.
Chatarius Tutu Atwell. Have yourself a game.
Oh yeah. All right, I gotta go on the negative side. I gotta call out Emmanuel Forbes. Had a rough game.
Mm-hmm.
And I only bring it up because Ahkello Witherspoon's out. This is, we've talked about it over and over again. No draft picks, no UDFAs, really no free agent pickups to speak of, no trades so far. Is there a larger conversation to be had about going out and finding somebody that can kind of, fill that need in the secondary? Obviously, the corner, the safeties are doing a fantastic job. Quentin Lake is having his ups and downs, but I think on the most part, he's been a positive for the defense in his versatility. Mm-hmm. And, so it's just kind of those outside corner spots that there is a obvious need at. So, just not a physical guy, can't play, man against some of the bigger guys. He was up against Tyler Warren on that touchdown pass that Tyler Warren caught. Shout out to Tyler Warren. I got to say, really impressive. I was actually afraid that they were going to continue to go to him because he was being so effective.
Yeah.
But I think Quentin Lake was able to contain him a bit. So first loser, cornerbacks, specifically Emmanuel Forbes.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of talk after the game is like, are the Rams going to trade or go after a true corner? Like, it seems like to be that true Super Bowl caliber, they've got to upgrade that position. Will they? We'll see. I mean, they're getting by, obviously, but as the schedule goes and, you play some other elite receivers. I think Indy has some good receiving talent when you look at Michael Pittman, but it's a stark drop off. Obviously Tyler Warren at tight end, but in terms of receiving room, it's a fairly good drop off after Pittman. So when you go up against, again, inevitably the Eagles in the playoffs or other teams that have 2 or 3 options, you've got to have a little bit more depth or just a true one. And if Witherspoon's truly out 12 weeks or whatever McVay said, I mean, that's a long time. That's like not playing football for, 3 months and coming back right before the playoffs. So who knows if he'll even be the same caliber. So that'll be a conversation we'll continue to watch, and we'll see how this unit does. Obviously no moves will be made ahead of this Thursday night game being so quick. So we'll see how that. I'm going to go another winner, Skinny. We'll see if I do have a loser, but I'm feeling good today. Feeling like passing out W's instead of L's. And let's give a shout out to my guy, USC Trojan, Justin Dietich. Ahead of the game, Steve Avila was not on the injury report. Was seen as, okay, he's going to start the night before. It was like, hey, all right, all good to go. Not on the injury report. All thoughts were ahead of the game that he would come back and start at left guard. He does not. I believe he played a couple like special team snaps. But Justin Dietich ends up as the starting guard. Played pretty, let's just be honest, miserably last week, and was the highest graded offensive lineman for the Rams. Still not great in pass protection. That is definitely still an issue, but in the running game was highly graded, and overall was the highest graded offensive lineman out of all starting 5. So nice little bounce back game. Obviously, Sean McVay felt confident enough to have him as the starting guard, and whether it was, Avila just not quite being 100% yet, and they didn't want to rush it. It is still odd to me that he was completely off the injury report, but then he wasn't healthy enough to play. So I don't know if something else got tweaked pregame or whatnot. That'll be a whole other conversation the rest of this week as well, as we get started the injury reports heading into the Thursday game. But yeah, big winner, Justin Dietich. I mean, I love it. Just, former Trojan, but a walk-on, an undrafted free agent, starting games over veterans, over David Quessenberry, over other guys that, have played viable NFL football. And here's this guy as a UDFA getting the nod.
Is it just that he's a better left guard than Bo Lemmer? Because Bo Lemmer will come in, he played center all last year. Dedich came in for a bit.
I would assume so.
Situation they got there. Yeah.
I think he's more versatile. And obviously, Lemmer, they played as a center all season, like you said. So that'd be a good question to really get Sean McVay off the record, because he'll give us a nothing burger at the podium.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the offensive line for another loser and go with you're making me be the negative one.
That's fine. Yeah, good.
And we're putting Rob Havenstein on blast. Maybe one of the worst games of his career. He was on the injury report. Mm-hmm. He's on the injury report again, mm-hmm. and the depth is not great behind him. I think Warren McClendon is the one that would be tapped to come in for him if he's unable to go. But 9 pressures allowed. That was tied for top 5 among all tackles, all offensive linemen last week. One of the lowest graded full-time starters in the run blocking as well from PFF for this week as well. So yeah, really, really rough game, probably injury related. So, I'm sure he'll get back to that, but the old man might start to be showing his age a bit with these injuries kind of, cropping up more regularly. That was kind of a case last year as well. Missed a couple of games. Nothing long-term, but just kind of things that are picking up over time. So, and this is early on and just kind of going back to it, about the depth. Don't love it. Don't love the depth behind him. So, yeah. I've said, heading into this season, so much of this year is going to depend on the offensive line. And I think some of the inconsistencies in the offense have a lot to do with it, with kind of some of their shortcomings when they're rearing their ugly head. And Stafford has responded really well. I mean, he's got to be a winner of this game. They're just putting a lot on his shoulders and just, hey, old man, let's go out there and win this game for us. And he's responding. Obviously with Puka Nacua, a healthy dose of Puka Nacua being a safety blanket for him. So, yeah.
I'll do my final winner here. And if you want to throw another loser or winner out, great. If not, we can move on. But I think we got to just talk about Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua as, 2 winners. And, I think Matthew Stafford, and I'm curious your thoughts on this, but through 4 games, you could argue he's at the top, or at least in the conversation of MVP candidate. Now, obviously it's so early in the season, things change very quickly throughout, and it's how you sustain that throughout the year. But especially with guys like Lamar Jackson not playing as great, and he's now hurt, going to miss time. Patrick Mahomes has not been Patrick Mahomes. You look at kind of around the league. I mean, it's literally like Matthew Stafford and Josh Allen are like your 2 leading probably MVP candidates at the quarterback position. You could probably throw Justin Herbert in there as well with the Chargers, even though they did lose last week. So, I mean, another fantastic game, like you said, putting the team on his back, 375 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, a 73.8 QBR. So fantastic there. So I'll get your thoughts on that. And then also Puka Nacua in conversation as like the best receiver in football. And we've talked about this before, right? And I've talked about it some on my USC show with Mekhi Lemon. Like, there are certain, when you look at the receiver position, there are very obvious traits that some guys have better. But receiver is so contingent on your quarterback, contingent on the play call, and then contingent on what production you do when given the ball. So I don't think anyone would argue, anyone smart, that like Jamar Chase is the best, most talented receiver in football. But we know based on his situation, like he's not important anymore right now. Like he can't take over a game. Look at last night's game with Denver. What do you have? 4 catches, 23 yards or something. Puka Nacua right now is the best receiver in football based on situation, based on production, based on statistics. Like, he is on pace to break Cooper Kupp's like season records, which is insane considering what he was able to do. So your thoughts on Stafford in the MVP conversation, and is Puka Nacua right now the best receiver in football?
Yeah, Stafford specifically in the MVP conversation is really interesting because you look at the landscape out there, you're kind of highlighting the usual suspects, but then you've got this big, broad crop of young, developing quarterbacks that may or may not kind of ascend or descend. We're waiting and seeing on C.J. Stroud and Jaden Daniels, who's been banged up, and Michael Penix had, a couple of good games and then a big stinker where he just didn't look very good. Aaron Rodgers, they're 3-1.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he's already a final product. He's not part of this group that I'm talking about, but the reason I bring him up is because of that inconsistency. And Stafford's really beat that part out of his game. He is probably the most consistent quarterback in football right now.
Yeah.
All things considered, Mahomes is Mahomes, but he doesn't. He got one guy back, and he looks a lot better already. So, and they no running game to speak of for them. So, all things considered, I think you have to keep him in that conversation. And the way he's playing right now, just kind of gives no F's,
Yeah.
Is this the what do you call it? The finale tour, the what the victory lap? What am I trying to think of anyway, I'll move on to Puka Nacua.
No, I can't remember either. The
victory lap.
Send-off tour. There's something else we can't think of it, but I know what you're talking about. Like Kobe Bryant did it. Farewell tour.
Farewell tour. There we go. So Puka Nacua, 503 yards so far. 179 of them have come after the catch. Now the only guy ahead of him in that metric is DK Metcalf, who has 188. DK Metcalf is averaging 12.5 yards after the catch. Puka Nacua is just 4.3. This is a volume play at this point. And I saw a graphic on Twitter that if you look at the top two guys in single season receiving records, it's Calvin Johnson, Cooper Kupp. Puka Nacua is on pace to get up into that third, second, maybe first spot.
Yeah.
Those are all Stafford dudes.
Yeah.
Stafford is making these guys happen, turning these guys into kings. And so it's a match made in heaven. And let's just cross our fingers that both of them are healthy for the majority of the next, 16, 15 weeks or whatever it is, 13, 14 weeks.
Yeah.
And they can keep churning. It's going to be great. The last guy I got to shout out as a winner is Jared Verse. He had such a heads up play on that. It wasn't a strip sack, but he got to the quarterback and he recognized that he wasn't able to take him down. So he just swatted at that arm, got that fumble. And that's the kind of heads up play in a high leverage moment that I wanted to see. So I got to throw Jared Verse in there as a winner. Big winner.
And you got his sack. You got his sack, baby.
Got the sack. Yeah, exactly.
Got a sack. First of hopefully double digits the rest of the way. Yeah, I mean, we've peppered the point home that Stafford keys in on his guy, and it's just more proof yet again this year. And hey, it bodes well for those receivers, and it's going to get Puka Nacua a very hefty payday. So obviously Stafford's at the end of his career, but man, if he was younger and you're a young receiver, you're like, that's the guy I want to play with, because not only am I going to be a better player, that's obviously important. Not only am I going to have chances to win, but I'm also going to have chances to break records and get massive paydays, because statistically I'm going to be the top receiver every year just in terms of target share. So, all right, good stuff. Let's wrap this up with some power rankings. Both NFL.com and ESPN, there's obviously many others out there. We won't go through all of them this time, but both have the Rams power ranked at 4, Skinny. So NFL.com has the Eagles at 1, the Bills at 2, the Lions at 3, and the Rams at 4. And the ESPN has the exact same: Eagles, Bills, Lions, Rams. So the exact same top 4. They have the Chargers 5. NFL has Seahawks 5. Oh, okay. There you go. Your thoughts on the Rams at 4, and would you change? You don't got to give me your full top 5, but would you change that order at all of where you put the Rams?
I think that's about right. Yeah, I mean, you could, there's some Eagles conversation in there to be had. I mean, if you want to talk about inconsistent offenses, as I did in the reaction show about these Rams, the Eagles are far more inconsistent
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean that would be the only one that I might quibble with, but they're the Super Bowl champions. They've got the good record. They've got a lot of talent on that roster. All three levels on the defense. And I think there are holes. There's holes on both sides of the ball for the Rams, but they're just playing a style, like I was saying about Stafford, that's just kind of like this, I don't know, sandlot mentality, this kind of like high variance. We saw it last year too. We talked about it down the stretch,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't love it. I want to see some, competence on third down and in the red zone more, and kicking fewer field goals and things like that, and more 4 quarters of kind of consistent play rather than stringing just kind of a couple of drives together every game. Score more than 30 points for me,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So I mean, I'm going to throw it back at you. I did a whole bunch of word vomit there, and because I feel good about 4.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go any lower, I don't think.
No, I feel good about 4 too. I think 4 is where I would have them right now. I would probably change the order overall. I'd probably have the Bills right now at 1. I'd probably put the Packers at 2 and then the Eagles at 3, just
The
ahead of the
Packers all the way
Rams.
up there.
Yeah, I think so. Not the Packers. Sorry, not the Packers.
The Lions.
The Lions. Yeah, excuse me. The Lions. So I'd have the Bills 1, the Lions 2, because obviously the Lions lost to the Packers week 1. That's why it was on my mind. But since that loss to the Packers, they have just been dominant. So they bounced back from that week 1 loss and have looked really good. And I put the Eagles at 3 simply because they just barely beat the Rams. Otherwise, I'd have it flopped, and I'd have the Rams at 3 and the Eagles at 4. I think those are 2 very close teams. I agree with everything you said. That the Rams are playing kind of inconsistently, but so are the Eagles. They just happen to have closed those games out or have been able to finish them against really all their opponents. I don't think they've looked dominant necessarily, but that's where they looked last year. And that's the way the Chiefs have looked in many years. And yet they just win and go on and win Super Bowl. So got to respect them. Yeah, I would go Bills, Lions, Eagles. I think Rams for sure 4. And if they can rattle off some more wins here, I mean, they'll stay top 5 all year as long as they stay healthy. So, but I agree with you, seeing a little bit more consistency, seeing the run game not fluctuate as much. I did like the usage share, Kyren 13 carries, Blake Corum 9. So really closer to almost 50-50 there instead of just 70-30. So we'll see if that continues. Obviously would love more than 22 carries, as is always my big thing. But, overall, I think some good stuff there. And we'll see, as long as Stafford stays healthy, I think this team is going to keep getting better and better. So we'll see. Now they've played 2 really stiff competitions in terms of the Eagles and the Colts. I think we've now seen the Texans and the Titans are 2 of the kind of bottom teams in the NFL for sure. The Titans look pretty awful. The Texans, I feel like they will get better. I think they're just too talented to not improve. But obviously we know the Rams schedule now is kind of a, 2-2 in terms of good teams that they've played. So we'll see when they get to the competition. Obviously this week's a big one, which I can't wait to talk about with you, but yeah, Rams at 4 feels real good right now.
Yeah. I was kind of brushing up on there's a couple advanced metrics that I like to look at: EPA per play and success rate, and just talking about that, some variance and some crazy play. So success rate kind of dictates like play to play success. So like, do you pick up 3 yards on a run rather than 1 yard? That's a successful run.
Mm-hmm.
And then EPA, it factors in the explosive plays. So from a rushing perspective, the Rams are 14th in EPA. So not a lot of explosion. They are number 2 in success rate. And then from the passing game, 11th in EPA, and then 14th. So the success rate just across the board, they're really competent and pushing the ball, every few yards in the running game, and then Stafford just uncorks it and creates these explosive plays. And there's some balance and some stuff to that does make a lot of sense. So, but I just thought that was a particularly funny statistic from the rushing perspective, and we know who Kyren is.
Yeah,
we know who Kyren is. So,
hey, Kyren had that fun run where he kind of ran to the left. It was like a little left sweep, and then came like all the way, made a couple guys miss, and came all the way across. It ended up being like an 8-yard game, but it was a pretty beautiful run, making guys miss literally between both tackles, like from left side all the way to right side. So that was fun, but yeah, very interesting. So, well, there you have it. Anything left to wrap up, and we can put a bow on this Colts win?
No, we'll try to do better next time. Good night, Canada.
Kornheiser, love it. Great reference there. Try to do better next time. We will be back, like I said, probably tomorrow, but for sure Thursday live at 4 p.m. We might have a special guest, a Niners person joining us for that pregame. Obviously, the game is at like 5:15, so we'll jump on at 4, do a fun 45-minute show. Everyone's fired up, ready to rock, and then I think we're planning on being back live after the game as well in the evening. So hopefully a lot of heavy dose of Rams content on Thursday for you guys. So thank you as always for tuning in. Let's keep this thing growing. Hit that like and subscribe button. You can become a member at LAFBnetwork.com. Subscribe if you want. Help support LAFB and also help support some of our initiatives that we are a part of. But thank you as always for Skinny Tea. I'm Ryan Dyrud. We'll talk to you all later in the week.